my work starts really early in the morning, around about 8 a.m. I look at all the news, stay up to date on social media. It's a lot of work. Social media can be fun, but when you're doing it for work, it's a bit tedious. But we find what works for the audience, and then the team discusses, and we figure out what's going to work best for the day. And then curating interviews, setting up questions, getting the guests in. Like today, you'll hear an amazing panel, it was so amazing to speak to you. I have said amazing about 3 times already now. So yeah, it's just great. And so I have a qualification in journalism. I'm studying communications and English at the moment. I have 2 certificates, one in law and one in digital journalism. So I think I'm pretty qualified to be here today. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. And yeah, I feel like this platform has given me and so many others the ability to share our voices, share our stories, and media is the greatest field to be in because no day is the same.
So as you can hear from our producer, Bianca, that when you're in this industry, especially on a drive show, so remember if you're producing or you're doing a television show, you're making a movie, what we're talking about, we're going to each talk about the field that we're in. A drive show is very current. It's trending stuff that's happening all the time. So when Bianca's talking about the fact that she has to constantly look at news and media and look at stories is because you have to have, if you think about your computer or your, like in this instance, all your apps are open all the time. So your tabs in your brain need to be locked in constantly. So whether it's to do with traffic, current news, Hollywood, Bollywood, what's happening in politics, what's happening here, what's happening there. And you have to know everything in order for yourself to make sure that you are poised and able to bring information to your listeners in bite-sized forms. So it really is not an easy job. And that's why I always say when you hear us coming through, hi guys, we're coming through, you don't know all the seeds that have been planted and watered consistently.
Yeah, you don't realize how much of planning went behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So it's constant planning, constant preparations, and it all comes together, hopefully sounding really great.
Of course it sounds really great, guys. That's what we're here for. We're here to make all this content come to you and sound in a really cool way, mixed up with some awesome music. So it's not only about making sure that you sound great, it's also you need to know what you're speaking about and you need to know how to put it through to your audience. And that's exceedingly important because it's not all about the glitz and the glamour. It's also about making sure that you consistently bring a great product to your audiences every single day because you're only as great as your last show. Never, ever forget that. The other thing that I need to tell you is there's 2 more members to the Drive-By team. That is our sports presenter that's sitting in the front row. Her name is Bhavna Gavanda. So she brings you sport every hour and half hour on the Drive-By because that's what a drive consists. So we're breaking down the show for you. You have to have news on the hour, news headlines on the hour, sport on the hour, and sports headlines every half hour. So that's how it works. And then also we have traffic, whereas it's between 2 presenters, so that is Rob Byrne and Irma G. They bring us traffic every half hour, right?
Yeah.
And then our technical producer who makes us sound great. So all the promos you hear on air that's pertain to the drive-by, bed music, stings, a simple thing that you hear, the drive-by or traffic or sport, it has to be recorded, produced, packaged. All of these things is a process, and that's done by our technical producer, who's Sanveer Duchand, who is currently in our live studio making sure that we sound great on air, as well as our technical staff that is here in the M1 studio. So can you see how many things come together to bring us to you live on Lotus FM? B, anything you want to add before we go to that break?
I just want to quickly say that as much as it sounds so intense and so dramatic, it also is so much of fun. Every single day we have to contain ourselves because we constantly want to laugh on air. But it is one of the most incredible, amazing fields to ever be in.
Which is why we were talking about something yesterday and I said, do you think the team one of the days would be able to do this challenge? We said never. We'd never get through it because we'd never be able to sit still, not laugh, pull ourselves together. Like we have to plan simple things. And we're going to talk about this. Toilet breaks, coughs, sneezes. You can't do that live on air. You have to hold everything until you press the mute button. So I'm going to allow our team to just breathe, cough, clear their throat, and sneeze. We're going to go for an awesome song break, and we'll be back in just a bit. You're live on Lotus FM's Drive By. Music here on Lotus FM's Drive By. Welcome back to the show. It's your typical Friday, except we are here in the M1 studios here at the SABC, bringing to you our Media Day Career Expo, something we've been talking about and harping on for a very long time. I cannot believe Friday, the 23rd of January is finally here. So we kicked off the show today to kind of explain to you our roles in this media industry, who we are, where we came from, and what our role is on the Drive By. We started with my producer, Bianca. Our sports presenter, Bhavna Govender, is here as well. Bhavna, let's talk about how you got to the seat.
So for me, media has been in my life from small. I've studied drama in school and took it up in high school. Now, coincidentally, the year I studied at the specific campus, they did away with broadcasting. So being in radio is actually a full circle moment. I grew up listening to Lotus, grew up listening to my fellow colleagues and icons that are here at Lotus FM. And now being the sports presenter and presenter for the other shows at times, it's such a life-changing journey. You learn every day. You learn from your fellow colleagues. You learn from your producer. You learn from the fellow colleagues from SABC. It's a lot of hard work, as the ladies have said. It is fun. It is full. You don't know how the time goes by. And it's a lot of passion. So I can tell you, if you want to come into radio and be in this field, you're going to have one ball of a time.
Thanks for that, Bhavna. So next up after this, we'll speak to Sanveer, and then, of course, we've got a whole host of amazing SABC employees that will chat to you about their roles, their job, just not necessarily the voices that you hear on air, but the people behind them. The people behind it, what it takes to be there. So, of course, my name's Nilofer Said. I am the presenter of the Drive By on Lotus FM. I am not a journalist by profession. I have a profession in the teaching industry, and I taught for many, many years. However, going back, I always had this ability to speak. It is something that got me into a lot of trouble when I was younger, because growing up in the South African Indian diaspora, being a female and having the ability to always voice your opinion when I was younger, I'm 39 years old, and not scared of saying that, was not something that was, what is that? And I'll say it, Devi, what's wrong with you? I had an uncle who called me Devi Sankri. What's wrong with you? Why do you always have to have an opinion? And I'm so proud of that I always had an opinion. I always had something to say. And now I get paid for that. Right? So never ever feel small. I just had to find a stage and a space that my personality could fit in. And I was always had this love for radio, always had this love for passion. So while I was teaching when I had the time on a community radio station, I would host various shows, in between motherhood and everything else. And then when I lived in Johannesburg for a while, and I came back to Durban, and Lotus FM contacted me, and I love Lotus, because I grew up listening to Lotus FM. We are a niche market, a South African Indian radio station, and it was always home for me. I love them. Literally the stalwarts in media that came out of here, the big names that came out of here, I listened to them growing up, and I went, wow. And Lotus contacted me and said, we have a producer position, would you apply? And I applied for this producer position for the talk show, and I came in, and they phoned me the very next day to say, I'm so sorry, you don't have the job for the producer, we'd like you to be a presenter. And I went, yay, because I love that. And I came in, and I was literally thrown into the deep end to do Song of the Year competition, do this, do that. I had to learn all of this really fast, because what I was doing in the community radio station was like a political show and a talk show. I wasn't doing the music shows. And I went, what on earth? I was here for 3 months, and I took over the talk show, which was Walk the Talk at the time. I did that for 2 years. I graciously won an award for that show. And in the next fiscal, my management decided, you can do the drive-by. You can do the drive show. So we had to rename the show, do this huge change, and so did my personality. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you may not necessarily think you can do something. I was just like, person who I can't laugh and joke, and how am I going to do this? This is like going to be really difficult for me to loosen up. And it really took a lot. It took a lot for me to go, calm down, you can laugh and you can joke and you can be easy, and you don't always have to have this black and white opinion about stuff. And it was tough for the first couple of months. And like I was talking to you about Snoops, my managers were going, Lofa, just lighten up. You can laugh. It's okay. You can relax. You don't have to be. It took a lot from me to do that. And yeah, now for 5 or 6 years on into the drive-by, it comes as second nature. It's a lot of passion. But it's also, to be honest, very exhausting. If you come off a 3-hour drive show and it's an overstimulating space where you have music blasting in your ears constantly, you have to constantly pay attention to your producer all the time. You can't miss your mark. You can't. And sometimes you do, because you've got listeners, you've got music, you've got to know what you're talking about, you have to be able to respond to guests. It's very exhausting. But let me tell you, what we put out in 3 hours, people don't do in 6. It is the most amazing, fruitful, fun, no days the same job. I love to come to work every single day. And our motto on the drive-by, it's the best way to fuel up. It fuels us up every day. I love it. I play music. I get to talk about fun things. I learn things, and I get to do what I love, is speak and connect with the listeners. If you want a job that is full of passion, also selfless, and you're constantly learning, it's very important. Also very important that you constantly upskill and improve yourself. Record yourself. If you want to be on radio, and I'm speaking specifically for me, record yourself and listen later. Do your own snoop. Make sure that you're constantly improving. Do whatever courses or whatever you can do to make sure you're better, because like I said to you really early on in the show, you're only as good as your last show. And it's very important to make sure that you understand that, because this industry is very fickle. If you've seen with major celebrities or whoever they are, if they make a mistake, people remember that. They won't remember the 99 great shows. They'll remember the one mistake that you made. So as much as this industry is full of fun and amazing, you constantly also have to make sure that you put your best foot forward every single day. And the minute that you take it for granted and you don't get nervous before you put the mic on, that's the day you should give it up, because you should constantly have passion for this job. I could talk for the next 3 hours, and I'm not going to do that because we have so many other people to speak. We're going to go for a really quick break, and then we'll be speaking to Salma Patel. As you can see, I'm waiting for a cue. So, of course, lots of things change on live radio. So next up will be our executive producer, Salma Patel. For now, though, we're going to go for a really quick break.
Your older car may not have built-in voice navigation.
Now we're lost. We're not lost.
But Outsurance Essential Car Insurance has got you covered. SMS car to 43185. 54-year-old Antoinette pays only 279 Rand a month for her 2007 Daihatsu Terios. And there's no upfront excess payable, so no unexpected out-of-pocket payments. Get Outsurance Essential Car Insurance today for unfinanced cars older than 5 years and valued at less than 130,000 Rand. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185. Outsurance Essential Car Insurance is packed with loads more benefits for older cars, like third-party cover up to 1 million Rand. Claims are paid in cash within only 5 working days, and you can choose your own panel beater. And you get covered for full retail value if your car gets stolen or hijacked. SMS car to 43185. That's car to 43185. Outsurance, licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
You're listening to Rivash Soni Devnarayan on The Weekend Explosion.
Hello, South Africa. This is Mubego Praba, aka Mo Praba, one of South Africa's top IAB achievers, and now I'm looking to delight you in my music too. So please, join me this Saturday, the 24th of January 2026, with Rivash on The Weekend Explosion as I let you in on how it's possible to have it all this 2026. Catch you then.
The Drive-By with Nilofer Sayed.
Welcome back to the Drive-By on Lotus FM. So good to have you at our SABC M1 studios live for our Media Career Expo. Now, we promised you to bring you media bigwigs to talk about the role and what it takes to be someone in this industry. Now, here we have on stage with me Salma Patel, the executive producer of Newsbreak on Lotus FM and the SABC news editor for the KwaZulu-Natal region. She holds a degree in journalism from DUT, 3 qualifications from Wits University, namely radio station management, women in media, and newsroom management. Why did you do women in media? She completed a management development program course from Stellenbosch University and minor courses in employment equity and AIDS counseling. She has 27 years, guys. I mean, that deserves a round of applause. 27 years of experience at the SABC News and 28 years in journalism, having started at Young Daily News. She then interned at the then Natal Witness and finally landed at the SABC News when she applied. Her best interview, of course, in her opinion, was Amitabh Bachchan, the BBC's star of the millennium. Salma has also covered several international assignments, bringing a strong global perspective to her work. We grew up listening to her. She comes across as this really strict person. She is a boss here at the SABC, but one of the coolest, chilled people that you can ever learn from. Salma?
Yeah, I'll give you a raise.
Luckily, my wife couldn't go on at that moment.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me here, Nalofa. I just wanted to say that to the matriculants who want to enter into this field, if you want to be rich, this is not the field for you. But if you want to get rich in experience, this is the field for you. I mean, come on, I've been overseas 4 times. I've never paid for one single ticket. I've been to 3 different countries, all on assignment. And I've interviewed presidents and prostitutes. I've interviewed Thabo Mbeki when he was sitting as president. So it's really quite an exciting career, one that really takes a toll out of you, but at the same time, it builds you as a person. I mean, I chose journalism because I wanted to be Lois Lane so I could find my Superman. I found him in Phoenix, and I married him. And I made him a columnist. So he was very excited as well.
Do you want to tell everyone what his name is?
His name is Arafat, but his Facebook name, he's on social media, is hashtag Shahrukh Jan, because he looks like my Shahrukh Jan. He is very close to my heart. He'll be so happy I'm saying all these things. So the trick I wanted to tell you for now that you've made it through to matric, and I just wanted to let you know, school, your teachers, they lied. Yes, matric is very important. Yes, it is. But you don't have to be the #1 student in the whole of South Africa just to make it in life. You can be an ordinary person. Well, I'm not ordinary, I'm extraordinary. But you can be like me and just have, one distinction, and you can still make it. They told me that I would never enter a university, I would never study at a university, but here I am with 3 qualifications from, actually 4, from 2 different universities that are not here in KZN. That's fabulous for me. And I did all this while I was in my career. One of the tricks of the trade is if you can't get placement now, don't worry. Maybe get a part-time job, maybe decide from now, should I go and work? Should I, have extra pocket money? Because you do need to start having that fund. And it's important now because the media landscape is changing so much that most of the contracts that are given out now are freelance contracts, which means you have to be financially stable and secure, not rely too much on your parents, and learn to be independent person. And that's the important thing. So you start from a young age with maybe something simple like a 32-day savings account. And from there, you can add more, you can grow more while you're working. And if you have a normal matric pass, right, you don't have any A's, you've just got, maybe a B aggregate or a C aggregate, the trick is when you go to a university of technology, sometimes they look at your marks and they say, okay, fine, you've got a B aggregate or you've got an A aggregate. We're going to give you 50% of your fees back, or we're going to give you 75% of your fees back. That's how I studied, because I saved that money for the next year and I did my second year. And that's how I got through campus as well. I went to ML Sultan Technikon because they told me I couldn't study at a university. But look where I am now. So if I can do it, you can do it too. But you've got to do it the clever way. If you can't get university or Technikon placement now, or University of Technology placement, go and do all those short courses. You will find, I think the website is called journalism.co.za. So just have a look there. You'll see all these short courses in different types of reporting, radio reporting. You will find, well, now it's multimedia and AI as well. And don't come work in my newsroom and use AI. I will find you, and I will know that you are not very creative, because you need to have the 3 C's for radio, which is consistency, continuity, creativity. I need to know that you can go on air and you can entertain people while educating them and informing them. That's the basis, that's the mandate of SABC. When I first started, I thought mandate was something I'd look for on a Friday night, but lo and behold, it's to inform, educate, and entertain. That's the mandate of the SABC. And if you look at the SABC in itself, it's this massive behemoth. I mean, we've got 19 SABC radio stations. We've got TV channels. We've got satellite channels. We've got a 24-hour news channel as well. So there's a space for you somewhere. If you want to study journalism and you want to be the one running in the field, like you see some of my colleagues from other media houses, they're all in the field, they're reporting on accidents. One of my colleagues, the ones that I trained here, Jade Lee Paulser, I hope she does come on. She also, does a lot of field work. The most recent story she did was Addington Hospital, Addington Primary School, where there were parents protesting and there was clashes with foreign nationals and things. So yeah, you can be that type of journalist on the field, or you can be a journalist who's in the studio, you work from there. You can be an office-based journalist that writes for newspapers, or you can be a court reporter. So there's so many facets to journalism, and you just need to find your fit. A little bit of history about me. My dad owned a radio repair shop. So I was very attuned to radio when I was very, very young, because he would lie to me and say, listen, your fingers are nice and small, so you can change the dial code. When you turn those big knobs on the radio, old radios, not digital ones. And he used to tell me that was my job. So I used to play and listen to all these radio stations, and I was like, wow, this is so fascinating. And on top of that, there was a newspaper company that was next door to my father's shop. And that's how I got interested in reading newspapers, because during apartheid, they would actually black out certain things that we were not allowed to report on. And I always asked my mom and dad, what is happening here? Why is this blacked out? And because I was so young, I was just about 6 or 7, and they didn't know how to explain it to me about apartheid, because I was still a child and I didn't know what it was. But as I grew older, I realized that, I want to be this prolific writer. I want to write a lot. I want to tell people stories. And that's why I went into newspapers first. So when I interned at the Natal Witness, that was my first headline there, front page, I should say, because in journalism, you're also a bit of a snob. If your story goes below the fold, then you're not that quite good, But if you made it above the fold and it was the main headline for the newspaper, then you were top notch. So it started from there. I didn't realize that there was a lady at the SABC at the time who was an editor here, and she was watching me. She was watching all my front pages. And I didn't know at the time that it was called headhunting, where they look for certain people in industry. So you see, one of my lecturers actually taught me that, when people want something, right? If they want tomatoes, you give them tomatoes. If they want apples, you give them apples. Until it comes to such a stage that they'll only ask for Salma Patel's biryani. And that's what happens today. I experience that on social media, and I experience that sometimes when I go on air. People are happy to hear me. It's because with radio, and radio is still surviving. Hey, when we do future watching and things like that, you still see that radio is going to survive. TV is on its way out. But radio has that kind of staying power. The Buggles sang "Video Killed the Radio Star." I believe that Queen sang the opposite. All you need is Radio Gaga. So radio is here to stay, and it's here to make a difference. And I think it's because, Nilofa, it's that connection with voice that's important. People want to hear more than they want to see the pretty face. They want to hear the kindness out of your voice. And radio is like Sprite. People can see through it. So if you're putting on and you're acting and you're not being yourself, people want your personality. They don't want you to mimic someone else. They want to hear you, and they want to make a connection with you. And that's the important part, is that when you're broadcasting, you speak to one person. And that's how you create that awesome relationship with your people.
So Salma, I must tell you that we've got TV people messaging me to say, hey, we're not on the way out. Well, the fact that you're listening to us on radio means you're somewhere behind.
Yes.
Because we're theater of the mind. No, on a serious note though, thank you for coming through. I think it's so important to have someone like you that we've listened to see your journey, to know that you didn't start as an executive producer. It was a long journey, how it started, when it started, and you're constantly improving yourself. Sama will always send you a message after a show, while you're doing a show. She'll sit upstairs and she'll say, and I'm going to tell them, you played a Sting song, I like this, please say that. She'll come in and give you notes. She'll constantly lead from the back. And I think that's so important to also have people, to surround yourself with people that are better than you, because that's the only way you'll up your game. And so I think it's so important, the message she's brought through today. Thank you, Salma, the experience that came with it, because that you can't buy and study for.
So you admit I'm better than you?
Always. Absolutely. So this is the kind of work environment that you want. These are the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with as well. So remember that the media industry is just not you. It's a fraternity. And here at Lotus FM, we share the experience.
Of course we do.
It is also very important to pay attention to time. So you're not better than us because it's 4 o'clock and you still want to speak and you've got your news lady sitting in the room.
No, she has to do her job.
She has to do her job at 4 o'clock. So Tracy's going to go ahead with news. Is Tamara. We're switching gears to her now. She's Tamara Naidu, a 24-year-old Durbanite from Shallcross, who is making a real difference in the lives of job seekers. That's really what we want to hear, right? We want people in Durban to get jobs. So by day, Tamara works as an HR officer, and by night, she runs a passion-driven side hustle, guys, focused on creating affordable, professional CVs, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles. She started this journey in 2023 after helping friends and family who were struggling to secure work, and quickly realized the power of a well-written CV and the doors that it opened. So Tamara, you can put your mic on, and welcome to the drive-by here on Lotus FM.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited.
And you know what the thing is? I'm just going to say this as a sidebar. To be successful in life, you also need a really great support structure. Tamara's parents are sitting in the audience as well. They're there. So yeah, that's really great. Okay, Tamara. CVs are such a big thing. It's such a huge part of our industry, because every single time that you get asked to interview for a job, someone needs your CV. So what are some of the biggest CV trends you're seeing right now that young job seekers should know about?
Okay, so one of the biggest trends in media and CVs right now is a strong focus on practical skills and real-world experience, even if it's not formal experience. So that means young job seekers should highlight both hard skills like Microsoft Excel, data analysis, digital marketing tools, and soft skills like communication, adaptability, teamwork, especially if they don't have long work histories. And in media, employers care less about long job titles and more about what you can actually do, like content creation, script writing, social media management, editing, presenting, or even running a podcast. Another major trend is the importance of links. So in CVs that would like that media presenters would look for, there's no longer just documents. Employers expect links to portfolios such as YouTube channels, Instagram, TikTok, vlogs, or demo reels. So if you say you can do something, you should also be able to show that you can do it. Another trend is an increase in the LinkedIn integration. So recruiters often look at your LinkedIn profile before or after they see your CV. So this means that CVs should match the professionalism and key details on your LinkedIn page, and links on your CV should be easy to find as well. And lastly, there's also a shift towards tailored CVs for each job application. So generic CVs are less effective now, and ATS, meaning applicant tracking systems, scans keywords. So tailoring your CV to include keywords increases your chances that your CV gets picked by a real person. So in media, your CV should still be professional, but it should reflect your voice, personality, and niche, whether that is radio presenting, journalism, production, or digital content.
That's a lot. That is a lot. All right, guys, so this CV is not going to be one page. There's a lot of tick, 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 and everything that goes on with this. So when putting together the CV, a few key things, because we heard a lot come out of that, Tamara, but key things that you absolutely need to include to stand out. Because when you put stuff together, you go, should I include this? Should I include that? So what has to be there?
Okay, to stand out, there are several non-negotiables. So the first and most important thing is to have clear contact information. So things such as your name, your phone number, professional email address, and your LinkedIn profile if you have one. That seems basic, but many CVs miss a LinkedIn link or use unprofessional email addresses, and that can hurt first impressions. Another thing is your professional summary or career objective. This is found usually at the beginning of your CV as well. So in 2 or 3 lines, this should summarize who you are professionally, your biggest strengths, and where exactly you're looking to go. So for young job seekers, a good summary can help frame limited experience in a positive way. So this is your chance, guys, to sell your brand. Media is competitive, so your summary should highlight your strengths, passion, and niche. For example, storytelling or youth engagement or digital media trends. You also can put through your work experience, and remember guys, it doesn't need to be formal work experience. If formal employment is limited, you can include internships, volunteering, freelancing, or relevant school projects with specific achievements or outcomes, not just duties. And where possible, you can use numbers and impacts. For example, improve process efficiency by 15 or manage a team of 5 volunteers for our community media team.
Tamara, I hear you, and due to time constraints, because of course we have lots of them, and I've got Tracy standing by. She's got to go on the half hour for news headlines. So I want to know from an HR perspective. So from your eyes, when you look in a CV, what makes the candidate go, this stands out immediately to me?
So the first thing I notice is whether the CV is neat, structured, and error-free. So spelling mistakes or inconsistent formatting can signal carelessness. So in media, details matter, from your scripts to your sound quality to your deadlines, and I'm sure many of the producers that spoke here also emphasized that as well. So a well-structured, error-free CV shows the candidate understands professionalism and takes their craft seriously. So media is a people-facing industry, and I look for CVs that show personality, but in a controlled and professional way. Another thing that we look for is relevance to the role and whether the candidate's skills and experiences align with the job requirements. We also look for initiative and consistency. So I am drawn to CVs that show that the candidate did not wait for permission, they created opportunities for themselves. So consistency in posting, producing content, or improving skills shows discipline and reliability.
I love that. So I hope that these tips really help you, because in order to be able to get that job that you want to break into the media industry, unfortunately, every single one of you, whether you like it or not, has to compile a CV. And of course, Tamara, thank you so much for helping with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great one, guys.
Community storytelling shape your career?
I think it's important as a radio journalist or as a journalist to have an ear for radio. It's so important. It's important to read, to listen. Sometimes we talk a lot, but sometimes just take a step back and just listen. That's where the stories are. It's important to keep in touch with the community. And I think my career went off when I was in second year campus. Basically, I started off at a community-based radio station, and from there, that created a foundation for me and basically helped me grow a lot. So joining community radio stations to help your career really sets the foundation, really helps you develop, helps you grow as a student into the working world, because when you come into a newsroom like SABC in KZN, it's a fully fledged, busy newsroom. You're working with TV reporters, radio reporters, then I'm a news reader, and it's hectic, it's busy, it's not all play, it's scary at times, because you either learn to swim in the newsroom or you drown. But if you're passionate about what you do, you can fly and get very high in life.
So Trace, what's one story or project you've worked on that really made you feel you were giving a voice to the community?
I think it takes me back to my university days when I was in second year campus, and at that time, we decided to take out the camera, we hired it out, took a tripod, and we went to Mount Moriah. It's an informal settlement towards KwaMashu, and it was really sad because we basically, it was a mixed bunch of, racial, a racial class here. And basically, we went and we spoke to them about the appalling conditions that they were living in. And it was really sad that what they witnessed, what they were going through. The kids didn't have, couldn't afford to go to school. That really touched me. And I think there's so many other stories that I can talk about, like the COVID-19 pandemic. the 2022 floods, where over 435 people lost their lives. There's so many more stories that we can talk about. But you know what? I always say community stories are always the stories that are closest to your heart.
So we are addressing matriculants today. They are looking at or wanting a career in media. For young people hoping to follow in your footsteps, Trace, what advice would you give them about connecting with audiences and making an impact through radio?
My advice would be stay curious, stay grounded, never lose sight of who you're speaking to. An audience can tell whether you're genuine, so listen more than you speak. Do your homework and approach every story with respect. Respect is very important. And radio is about trust. So you build it by being consistent, ethical, and human. And most importantly, I would say, remember that your voice can open doors for others. So use it wisely.
I'm so glad that you've put a face now to the name that you're going to hear in a couple of minutes. I know she has to head on over to Halfway Headlines. So thank you so much for joining us, Trace. So Lauren, welcome to Lotus FM.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I like when you said I'm 27. I'm no longer 27.
How old are you?
28.
Oh my goodness. I thought you were going to come with another number. You're 27 in my books. A 3-year either way, it's fine. So how did you get into writing and drawing?
Okay, so I love reading, as reading is important. It actually fills the mind with imagination and growth. But also, it wasn't really on my mind to write.
Okay.
So I used to be a huge fan of Marvel. And I used to do cosplay and stuff, so I used to love that, and that's how it started. And I said, with my 5 group of friends, I said, guys, what if we try something new and we do a comic book? But then I thought about it and I said, there's so many comic books out there, we have to be a bit different. So with my comic book, I've used actual people as characters that I've converted to a comic. And then I made it into a superhero/villain story. And from there, it just grew into fantasy romance novels.
That's really cool. So how did you begin your career in this field?
Okay, so like you said, psychological counseling helps with all of that because it helps with connecting stories, connecting ideas, connecting imaginations. And I love reading, so I thought if you're going to be a reader for so long, get something out of it. And I started writing, and I said, you know what, we get ideas from everyday life, we get ideas from people, from situations, from scenarios, and it's nice to put in a little spice into it.
Wow, guys, this is amazing. So going from loving writing to be able to actually putting your love for Marvel and everything together in this. So how did you go about publishing your books?
Okay, so far all my books are self-published, so there's a long process. So when it comes to publishing, you need to know there's a lot of details that a lot of people don't know behind the scenes. So you need to find your editors, your printers, your design covers, your layouts, and all of that. So when I say self-published, it means it's done by self. So what I've done is done the design myself, I've done the layouts myself. The only external thing is my editors and my printers. Even right to marketing. So there's a lot of work, it's a lot of hard work into it.
I love that. I love that you brought every process to talk about. It's not just writing and wow, it just magically appears, right? So what advice do you have for up-and-coming writers?
Well, I've always put my pointer that number one is you put God first. Anything you have, you put Him first, and everything else follows thereafter. And also, with regards to yourself, know what you're comfortable in. So if, for example, I like writing, I'm doing writing. But if I'm not good at a certain thing, don't push yourself into it. So you need to identify what you're good at, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, and also flourish in that area. But remember, we live in a time and age that hard work has to be done. Nothing gets handed to you. So if you put in the hard work, you'll get it out. Like someone in my family once said, if you put in 10 Rand, you're going to get out 10 Rand. So it depends the effort you put in and the amount you put in.
It's been fabulous chatting to you, Lauren, and I think it's so important that you came through today to speak to our aspiring writers, journalists, people that want to get into this industry, to see that it's not just the book. There's so much that goes into it. So thank you so much for coming to Lotus FM's Drive By.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
To say how's it to her mom who's sitting in the front row, who's a huge Lotus FM fan. I mean, you know, there's times where you get to meet a person and you interview them, but the mom was the star of that show, Racine.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
So, Racine, for young people who want to act, what's the very step you think they should take, the very, very first?
Great. Firstly, thank you for having me back here. It's so good to be back. I think for young people, firstly, I cannot stress this enough, please take acting classes because producers look for good, strong actors, and it also it will help you stay in the industry for longer. So take acting classes, get a good agent if you are starting out, make sure that you safeguard yourself as well, and take a page from my book as well. Just look into other aspects of the film industry as well, so you can create work for yourself. You can create work, wherever you are living, and especially in Durban, where I feel it's like a creator's playground. We have such wonderful community. We can tell our story. So yeah, if you can figure out a way to write a role, produce it, get it out there, then you can have a very long career.
Right. So, Racine, you've worked across film, theatre, and social media. What skills should young creatives start building now to stay versatile?
I think, yes, maybe your digital skills will definitely take you a long way. When I started out, social media wasn't a very big thing at the time, but I had to just suddenly switch and know how to post online. Now, the in-person audition is very rare. You have to send in self-tapes. You have to learn how to edit those so that it best represents you. So just make sure you're digitally inclined.
Yeah. So you've moved into writing, directing, and producing your own film. Why is it important for young creatives to create their own opportunities, like you were speaking about?
I think the biggest reason might be, so you create work for yourself, you can earn for yourself, you're not dependent on other people, you're not waiting around for auditions and roles to come your way. I've been here for like 6 years now, and it gets you down sometimes. So when I started creating my own stuff, even on social media, putting out those short videos, you reach out to people, and you have a new respect for what you do. So yeah, definitely.
I love that. Thank you for not waiting for someone to create the perfect role for you. I love that you could write something so that you could star in it.
I tried.
All right, guys.